right, with that, I'm going to call this meeting to order. And time is 5:44. And thank you for being here. Please, just as a refresher reminder, is that we're going to be, we talked about it before, and we had a couple topics that we needed the banter back and forth discussing, so we didn't enforce the 2-minute rule to give everyone a chance to speak, but we're gonna go back to that. There's a couple things we needed to discuss, and it would have been impossible in the format that we were doing. So, as I said, just give her a chance to do her full presentation, and we'll have a question and answer afterwards. That way we don't go off on any tangents or waste any time talking about stuff we don't need to. You're perfectly welcome to take notes on questions that you want to cover and go back to. Oh. Right? It's the welcome introduction. I'm going to give the mic to Kat for the agenda if she's ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
Is everyone having a chance to look over the agendas? Anyone have any changes, corrections, information, additional? No? None? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Gary, can I get a second? Thank you, Gary.
Gary's out.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, agenda passes.
All right. Okay, it says here, we're just gonna go ahead and go right into Sherry's presentation. Please listen up, people, this is very important.
Thank you, Gary. I hope we get to sing happy birthday to Kat before the end of the night, so let's remember to do that. So what I've been asked to it's really important, the HUD, so it's the Housing and Urban Development, which is a federal agency, and it funds our CoC program. So it's a notice of funding opportunity. It's a large grant, and what we do is the HLA is lead agency. We create the process for a local. It's called a competition, but basically we lead the local grant process, create the application, the scoring tools, and everything, and then different providers submit, and then we have a review and rank, and we've had people from this committee who have participated on review and rank in the past. And they decide and make recommendations on which projects should be moved forward. And then finally, the CoC Board of Directors, the Executive Committee, they vote on that and recommend. That ends that piece. Then HLA does a very large application on behalf of the whole CoC, and then we submit that all to HUD after it's approved as well. So HUD, I just want to be careful about this really quickly, because I don't want to freak anybody out. The CoC program, this funding opportunity is only for the CoC. It's for very specific projects that the CoC recommends. It's not for all housing programs and projects. It is actually it has big impact to the providers and to people who are in those projects, but it's pretty small compared to the rest of the funding that goes into housing. I just want to put that in some sort of context, okay? So there's no freaking out. So last year, and usually this opportunity comes out every single year, and we have lead time. We know what's coming. We know kind of what to expect, and it looks about the same. And it has for the last 15 years. And I think Gary had asked to wait on holding questions, but if you could like jot them down and remember them, that'd be, because I'll get lost. I know me. But oh, yeah, I'm gonna get to that. And so last year when we went through the process, HUD did something different. They moved to an every 2 year. That, because it takes like about 3 months to go through this process typically. So you can imagine you're spending the entire year preparing for one event and very little time, leaves little time for planning and all the other work we have to do. And so they left this year, was going to be just a renewal of all the contracts, so that you had 2 years promised to you. Instead, you know, we had new administration, new HUD, secretary, and so they decided to drop it anyway, to release the grant, the notice of funding opportunity. And they did that, in the middle of November, right after our last meeting here. It dropped right then. So that was a fun ride home. But, anyway, so, we knew some things to expect that were coming down. We knew that a NOVO was going to be released. We just didn't know when. It's been going on and on, had expected it earlier, actually. We knew that transitional housing was going to be covered, was gonna come into play. HUD has not covered transitional housing for over a decade, in our CoC program. Hasn't been allowed. And then right before the NOVO came down, within like a month of that time, we learned that there was going to be, never had happened before, a 30% cap limit on any permanent supportive housing, and that's BOLI. That's BOLI. So BOLI, receives funding for some funding, they get other funding, you know, as well, but it's a big deal. They get some funding from this program for their permanent supportive housing. And the other providers that get funding through it is CASA, so that's for domestic, survivors of domestic violence. And then the HLA, we get funded for coordinated entry and HMIS, and then for the CoC planning. So.
As part of mine.
And so knowing that there was going to be that cap, then we had like emergency meetings, providers and funders got together, especially with the city of St. Pete, Largo, and Pinellas County, and HLA, and try to work out different ways that we may be able to support and fill in some gaps, to help, those programs go on.
I just see John.
Well, but there's more news about this though. There's more news. And so, so they released it and everyone in the country, there's CoC everywhere, right? Covering the entire, everywhere. And everyone was like, when it was released, instead of that 30% cap just being for permanent supportive housing, which would have affected BOLI with our current, what we have. When it was released, it actually made it 30% of all permanent housing. And so that affects CASA as well, with survivors of domestic violence. It did not affect, the coordinated entry or HMIS or the planning grant. It actually was a little bit more funding because of rent increases, cost of living, all that stuff. But the direction was really changed. It went from permanent housing to more short-term crisis response, transitional things and service requirements. So they're redirecting funds that way. That's a move that the administration and the HUD is going to take. And so.
Are they phasing out permanent housing?
I'm sorry, what?
Are they phasing out permanent housing?
It's not a phase, you may wanna, yeah, because, I'm gonna get to the very end of this. That HUD NOFO was completely pulled, so it's on pause right now. It was pulled, and so we don't know what's coming next from HUD. Exactly.
Right.
But, we don't know, and we hope to know there's going to be, there's definitely a hearing on December 19th, and then we should know something by then, but you know how courts, yeah, so.
Yeah.
We're waiting to get more information from HUD and some more guidance, but right now there is no NOFO. Right now, it has been pulled, it's been withdrawn, it's not available anywhere on any site. It's still concerning for especially BOLI and CASA, well, especially BOLI. I'll tell you, HLA and CASA, our funding goes all the way through next September from the last round. We're all the way through September.
So people that are in the house now will have till September?
Not necessarily. So with BOLI, we don't oversee these funds. The HUD directly contracts with providers. The way BOLI has it set up, they have one project that runs to December 31st. Now, that's the way it's been for a long time, okay? And the way it's been is that they don't have a contract. It takes a few months, even after that, to get a contract in place. So usually there's some floating done. So that's why I'm trying to say, don't freak out. And there's a lot of good news coming from like the county and other groups who are trying to fill in the meantime, so that we can try to figure out a good transition, the next steps. So no one's going to be on the street January 1st. Okay, because of this decision. I can imagine that. So this impacts, again, people, the permanent supportive housing authority and CASAS programs that they have funded through us. And we know the permanent supportive housing is for people with disabilities. And one change that HUD was making that we know because of what was released before was to move away from those longer term supports and to make the permanent supportive housing only for people with physical disabilities or the elderly. So there is that's a big change. And so the bottom line is right now, nothing changes today. We are having meetings, we're continuing to have strategy meetings between providers, funders, the different governments to try to fill it in. Most of BOLI's project, all of BOLI's projects are affected are in St. Pete. And we're just waiting for HUD to give us guidance. I've been on the calls with Kathleen, with the rest of the executive committee, with providers, funders, and we had started a process. We were well underway, spent Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
If you received a constant contact at 2 a.m. on the morning, Thanksgiving Day, I sent it out. I want you to know I'm sorry, but we needed to give project applicants as much time as possible to get those applications done because it's a very tight timeline, the way that it's set up. But now that is on pause, that is on hold. And we were on track to get it done. But yeah, so now, any questions? What are your questions about that?
I just worried about people being displaced, there's gonna be a lot of questions asked us as we walk around town. Once this hits and everybody realizes something's going on, I just want to know what we should tell them,
Well, again, so it doesn't. Those programs like the permanent supportive housing across Pinellas County right now, we don't have very much permanent supportive housing compared to the need, right? We don't have enough for the need. And so slots for that, they come about, but they're not very often, right? Not as much as some other projects have. And I just want to reiterate, there are a lot of other programs and projects that are not impacted by this at all.
I was basically told I'm safe for now.
Yeah.
You know,
I got a couple of friends that have been on for a few years now, and they, they'll be shocked and want answers as soon as they find out that it might be in jeopardy, or they get told that it'd be all right for now, they'll freak out,
And what I would tell them is that there are conversations happening, and it sounds like, there's some news of like ways to fill in the gap, at least for the short.
Did HUD and basically across the board, everybody lose some kind of funding because of the new people in office?
And I'll tell you, I can't answer. There hasn't been anything new that has actually come to play. Like there's not anything definitive. I can't definitively say anything about any losses. No, I mean, I don't.
We're
think
not
it
holding
hasn't
sure,
happened.
we just
I know.
not curious.
But you'll hear talk, you watch the news, you'll hear talk.
Yeah.
Some of it, of course, we know is happening because there is a new direction. And some of it though is talk and it hasn't been implemented, so we don't know what it looks like yet.
Right.
So I can't say anything's been implemented. I can tell you that today the governor's budget, proposed budget came out for Florida, And it was still going to fully fund our other grant projects that we get for the state.
So it's
So
not a loss of funding, it's a restructure basically.
it's a restructure, a significant restructure is gonna take a lot of transition time. And that's what we're, you know, the things do change over time. Having a little time just to adjust to that and make sure that people aren't displaced is really important.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I can relate to.
Right, man.
John really was.
oh, I can tell you, yeah, it's a lot of work.
You fully in your transition to the question and answer already?
Any other questions?
Just didn't know if you'd find your place back to where you were.
Yeah, I do.
Good, yourself.
His basic understanding is the government wants to get away from that and people are doing a permanent housing thing or whatever, it's affecting a lot of people in some of their own programs.
That's, and that is what was in the last snowfall, but now we don't know what's going to be in the next one.
It's not affecting me yet, but it could in the,
We're
every time
waiting.
you got signed up on the road, Jason Boyd used to go by with no,
Was it, they took the NOFO, they took the announcement down from the website, from all the places where they make those announcements. And where you can put in your application, that was removed, and so, because they're making changes to it. There are 20 attorneys generals that are, so 20 states that are there's some court stuff happening. And as well as some advocacy organizations involved with that. So that's why there's gonna be a hearing on the 19th. This NOFO was pulled about an hour and a half before a court hearing. It's going to take place about it.
I understand that and stuff with bullying, it's basically the people so far that are getting affected would be, it would be like the people that when they're putting them on a property, when they're directly helping, not like vouchers and so, you know, there's a couple of properties like 54th South and stuff like that. Down there by the Skyway and stuff, they got some property done, and they're like that, or like, I think they have like a battered woman property or something for those kind of people. And a couple other specific ones for specific. But I think from what I gathered when I saw him last week for my stuff, those are the people that are getting affected right now, and basically I hope it is.
So depending, again, there are some other funding opportunities that are being worked out right now. And so there should be some, I'm not aware of anything happening right now.
Give us
That
an idea
any
what
changes
you're doing.
as far as where people are living. If this was to go through, though, there is, the other conversation we're having, is how to transition. So if somebody's in a project type, you know, the names of projects is one thing, people wanna know where you're gonna sleep, right? And, and so there was an opportunity, moving to transitional housing, looks like it could be up to 2 years of a place to live, right? That is what the last NOFA was really pushing for that to happen with those permanent housing projects, is the transition over to transitional housing. So it's not a, you know, the name of the projects, I think we can get in the weeds with that. I think that it says people are not going to be displaced today.
But basic understanding of it is basically the government wants to get away from.
They want to get away from the permanent part, so right now, at the moment. And put in some, you know, add more treatment and services and supports and,
Give us a place to
and do
transfer
short
to.
term.
When I saw him like last week, or no. Yeah, I think it was last week, the second or third, the beginning of the month. And while we were talking in the meeting for my stuff, he said that like instantly affected like 200 people or something. And like I said, those are the people that fully support like directly, that have some other, it's not a voucher program, it's like their group home or something. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you have your apartment company, it's a different program from the section. You know that.
When was this meeting?
I had a meeting last week. I had a meeting with John and Bull last week, because my stuff came up for the year last week. I renewed all my stuff, that's why I said, he told me I'm safe for now, but that could change. And he said that people that, like, that they're direct supporting for the housing right now, like those people got affected like immediately when this stuff happened, where it's like.
There's been nothing changed just yet.
Turn it apart and make all them temporary, those people that have been affected so far.
This month there should not, so I guess it's timelines that we're gonna get, that we're playing with right now. Right now, nothing has changed. At this very moment, nothing has changed.
But you can come. But they,
But to expect that, yeah,
they're gonna have someplace to transition to, these people that are on permanent.
that's what we've been having discussions about, and it looks like, yeah. Believe me, there have been a lot of brains that have gotten together to work this out, a lot of talking with people who have the funds to, make sure that people are not just displaced completely, that doesn't happen. And we're gonna continue, just because an OFO was withdrawn, now it does put us kind of in a limbo place. It's not very comfortable. No one does not like not knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
And so we're not going to stop discussing, we're not gonna act like it's not going to happen. We're not gonna act like there's gonna be this huge change from what we saw in the original one. I move forward to, still see how we can put things together so that it's best for people.
This the whole idea, it seems like the reason all minds are together they're looking for a way to stop doing permanent housing and transition. Yeah, I just, hoping that they have an exit strategy for these people that are already mentally ill, and, you know what I mean?
Or a way to fund permanent housing in ways. I feel like I said, COC program is not the only funding for permanent housing.
Okay.
In fact, it is not, yeah. So there are other, that's what we're looking at.
He said you guys actually support a bunch of different programs, and the program that I'm on, the voucher program, you guys support. That's why some of this stuff for me. That's what.
Any other questions?
We have any-
Gary gave me the great honor of talking about two things that are not necessarily the greatest news in this meeting.
Wow.
Thank you.
I can do it.
No,
You
no.
can be the bad guy.
No. I know last month, we talked about the stipend policy because, because of the funding that the COC was getting from membership dues, it wasn't meeting the money going out, right, for stipends. And so, COC decided for now, I know I mentioned this last month, I want to make it clear this month too, that the stipends for this meeting, this is an hour and a half meeting, used to get, now it's gonna be just $25 for the meeting and no gas. But still the $25 for every person who's a voting member, that's still some. Any questions about that? And if we see improvement or more funding come in, then we can look at that again. Okay.
Mention about the gas card.
Yes.
How about
Anybody have any questions about that? All right, I need just a fast moment to revisit something. In January, Ms. Cruz is a investigative reporter. She's gonna try and do an article that's gonna maybe get some, change some minds out there in the public. I just wanna make sure that somebody doesn't have any concerns about, she wants to sit in one of our meetings. Sound like they're gonna have a TV camera on you, write your name, put you on the front page, but I just want, it would be unfair and unjust not to let you know that somebody will be here writing a story. I mean, you're gonna, you know, somebody that you can talk, you wanna try and get the homeless story out there. Okay? I just wanna make sure everybody understood, cause, you know, I'm not looking to, do something that's gonna upset anyone. But, her name is Miss Cruz, and she's with the Southern Law Group.
Southern Poverty Law Center.
There you go. And they are a very homeless friendly organization, and I'm hoping this article will go out in a positive light. We need some positive stuff out there. So. Okay. Oh, let's move into the reflection on this year. This is not only Kat's birthday, she'll say again, happy birthday.
Can we sing the cat, Harry? Can we sing the cat now?
What?
Can we sing happy birthday?
The library, it's up to you.
Microphone,
Please
please.
sing them. Oh, I don't, it's your turn.
Other than that, Barbara Streisand, the floor is yours.
Ken sent me an email and let me know that, it was her birthday, and I said, oh, I said, Mom, can you bring a cake, what's your favorite flavor? And she said, dark chocolate, the darker the better, so that's why we have a cake tonight. And so, let's sing together her, happy birthday. It's a good birthday, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kat. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, guys. Well, I really don't want too many more.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So you know.
Not here, everyone.
After the meeting, bring your paddles as far as we'll have to run the gauntlet.
Good luck.
Good luck. Have you
Um,
met?
Good luck with that.
Let's reflect on last year's, or this year's accomplishments and defeats, like, what did we, what did we succeed in? Efforts that we succeeded, what did we complete? What accomplishments did we make? And then after this, I'd like to talk about the accomplishments that we fell short on. Whether we dropped the ball or it just didn't work out. I'd like us to assess how we did good, how we did bad. What we could do next year, can do better. How can we improve next year as a committee? Reflect on our own performance. We're basically giving ourselves a performance evaluation. And before I didn't realize it was Kat's birthday, but we had talked about doing a pizza party when we do that, because I figured breaking bread, we'd all sit, trying to keep it non-confrontational. And if you want the truth, I figured that if your mouth was full of pizza, but anyhow, but yeah, what do you feel that we did on the positive nature this year? What positive things that we did?
Kat's got her hand up. Here.
There you go.
I feel like on a positive note, when the camping ban happened and we put out information about your rights and this specific law and how, how you should deal with authority. I feel like that was a positive contribution.
Yeah.
Especially for public education,
Agreed.
not just for the homeless, but for the public.
Yeah.
And I feel like next year, maybe a goal we should think about is more public education.
Yeah, getting information out there. Because I know everybody's heard it before, but knowledge is power. What's the most common thing we find about the homeless? I didn't know. People don't know. And specifically, that yellow thing with the food pantries and the hot meals, that's what that was for. You know, yeah, we have the resource book, and that separate thing with the hot meal. That's what that list was for, and that's when we handed those out, I asked you, if you find a new service, hey, this place is serving hot meals now, whatever day during the week. Bring that information in, write it down, bring it in, if you want it on a hot sheet. Text it to me, I will add it to that file and then throw everyone a revised version of that. That's something that you can hand out, hey Gary, man, you know what the hot meals are, yeah. Right here, yeah, this place, this address, that's supposed to be a tool, yes, sir.
This is very important for all of us to do. I know, there was a church on 54th Avenue, and I was always looking for something that served food or gave food on weekends. And they started opening from 9 to noon, and they didn't get no kind of response, so they quit doing it. And that's the issue, we lost a resource because we didn't
Because
follow up
nobody
on it,
knew?
that's kind of our function, I
Is it
think.
because nobody knew they were doing it?
Yeah,
Because we didn't get the word out.
right, I mentioned it, but I didn't, I didn't know the exact address, I was like 54th Avenue, like 56th Street, somewhere over there.
See, it's hard to get the word out without all the info.
No, Trinity's on 64th.
Yeah.
When you get something like that, it's a lot easier and more beneficial to get the word out if we have all the information.
Right. I should have stopped there, got some information and brought it here in writing, so we could add, add it to the.
If you could have done that, we would have gotten the word out.
Right.
Cause I will take the time to add it to the list and then give you copy of the updated list. I'll print it out and I'll give everybody a copy, just like I did before. And so everybody has that, carry that with you, put it in your stuff somewhere. I promise you,
I
somebody
just
has
asked for
to.
these today, and I can guarantee you that by tomorrow afternoon, they'll all be gone.
Yeah.
I get to ask all the time,
Well, right now, those are the uniforms.
I know it.
They're the uniforms, okay, they're hard to come by. But yeah, the whole idea of that was a tool that you could carry with you, and I know you're gonna talking to a friend of the friend, going to Trinity or whatever. You're gonna run into somebody that doesn't know where to find these services. And that was the whole idea, so yeah, if you have any additional information that you do not see on those 4.5 pages that I gave you, or I can get you another copy. Please get all the pertinent information, we will add that to the list, that's not my list, that's our list. That is a tool for us to help them. So. yes,
Even
ma'am.
if you can just get the correct name and maybe what street it's on, we can always call and verify information.
Gotcha.
Well, I know you always wanted to talk to them. I was just gonna say before I started coming to the meeting, and Jennifer was coming and she was sharing the books with me and the information, I would also give that information to people that I knew, like therapists and
Mhm.
doctors that would work with, people
can still do
homeless
that.
and then they would pass that information along
Mhm.
to other people that would share it, so, I didn't know if, like if you guys,
We all collectively do that,
Yeah,
at least we're supposed to.
yeah.
Remember, if the yellow books are gone, you can get all that information off these
Yeah.
cards too.
And that's what I do, a lot of, some of my doctors have just taken like the web address from it. Like if I
If
say
you
this
take
is
your
my
phone,
last.
The scan that, it'll take you right online, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
PDF on your phone, it has everything. to look at.
You or whatever.
Exactly,
Now,
so
or,
they've been able to share that, but.
or
a
if you're
lot of
dealing
other
with, if
people-
you're dealing with somebody, I give everybody in the committee my number. Kind of for this purpose, if you can't get it on your own or you don't have it, call me, tell me what you need. I will give you that information, text it to you. And then you can play the advocate on site with, you're already talking to them, so that you've got their ear. That's important. I'll give you whatever information that you need that I can get my hands on. And you can go from there.
That's why I
That work?
started.
Yeah.
I funded on it, but then. That's the answer.
Alright,
Yeah, and I've been with Jennifer many times when we just pulled over on the side of the road or we were walking somewhere and.
You'd be surprised, I walked into a 7-Eleven before. I'm there for a half hour talking with 4 or 5 people about, you know, they don't know where to get do laundry or get a shower or, you know, hot meals or. You'd be surprised.
Not really.
No time limit. I'm just curious who else has other successes and things that was done
Yeah,
well.
I
done
definitely want to
last
stay on topic. Alright, does anybody have name any other successes we've had this year?
I think we've had a success in the, written piece that we composed over a number of meetings. And so, at our last meeting, we voted on sending that on to the Tampa Bay Times to be published. At that time, we had to do a revision. We did a revision altogether. And then I sent that revision to Kat for a final approval. And that took a little bit because Kat had some, other things going on, which is fine. And so it's this week that it got sent in to the Tampa Bay Times. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that that piece will be published. And, you know, I think it's really appropriate for this time of year especially, and then dealing with the HUD NOFO stuff and all that, and the point in time count. So I think that was a big win. And then, you know, I'm gonna mention this, because Michael didn't say not to mention it, and he's not here, so you're not here. So Michael, right, am I pronouncing his last name right? That's how I always say it. Is it Cretion?
That's gotta be.
Creation.
Cretion? Okay, so Michael Cretion, your chair, co-chair of the Lived Experience Advisory Committee, serves on our executive committee as well. And today we had an emergency meeting to give the HLA direction about the NOFO to have a temporary pause. And when Michael and I were on that Zoom meeting first, I was asking him how he was doing. He said he was good. He was preparing for his graduation. And so Michael is graduating with an associate's degree from SPC College on Monday night at the Clearwater Bay Care Sound. So that great big amphitheater at Coachman Park. So I'm gonna plan to attend. And I think that's worth celebrating if you can attend. I think it begins at 6:30. It opens at, 5 or 5:30 or something like that. There is also, and this is not really good news, but it's part of dignity and humanity and respect, but in St. Pete, and I don't know the name of the church, Nick, you might know, Sam's Church, that does a memorial for anyone who was homeless who had passed away for that year. They do it in December. And anyway, for the first time, First United Methodist Church in Clearwater is going to have that memorial as well, and that's Monday night. And that church is right by Coachman Park. So you could go to that memorial first, that's what I plan to do, and then go to Michael's graduation, but both of those are good things. To have North County participating that way, and then to celebrate Michael's graduation.
You still feel that that reporter though too, that we.
Yes.
Go there, so.
Yes, you're right, you're right. Good idea.
Thank you very much for the information. I was kind of looking more for our successes and failures, what we could have done, or, this is our evaluation. Anybody have anything? Go ahead.
I've talked to a few people on this committee about people getting roofs over their heads. I was able to give 3 mobile homes away to people this year. One to a reverend and his wife that were going to House of Hope Church. I was able to give this veteran who passed away who had the mobile home. I gave his car to a lady that was going to House of Hope Church, and she has 2 teenage daughters. He had $25,000 in the checking account. I went to the bank and talked to the officer and took a picture of the card, called up the daughter, called up one of the sons. The daughter came here from Texas. She got the $25,000 out of the checking account. Then another veteran told me he had a mobile home. So I was able to give a second mobile home away not too long ago. And I bought a scooter from my nurse's aide, and I gave that scooter to the person that got the second mobile home. And there's also somebody that's leeching off of the person that has the second mobile home. And then a friend of mine that I met in Denver, Colorado, called me up and said, hey, remember the people that you met way back in 1976? Like, so there was a couple in Fort Myers from Denver that decided to move back to Fort Myers because their son was gonna stay, or move back to Denver because their son was gonna stay out there. So I was able to gift a third family that was homeless in Punta Gorda mobile home. And all kinds of things. So my thing is getting people to have a roof over their head, you know what I mean? I have homeless people living across the street from me. I live in a really bad neighborhood where it's pretty much all homeless people. As soon as I get home,
Pardon me?
they ask me what kind of food do I have in my vehicle to give them, because I'm always passing out food. So
Pardon
I'm
me?
just thankful that I was able to do all of that. And
Sorry, I
I
had to-
appreciate what some of the people do against me.
Thank you, Mary.
So I'm very thankful that I've been able to do that.
Guys, we're talking about the committee successes and failures, not personal. Those are coming up.
That is the committee.
It's not, it's you, personal. It's not personal. This is committee. Please stay on topic.
I am staying on top.
Do not,
I am staying on top.
you're out of order.
No, I'm
You're
not.
out of order.
I'm not. Yeah, we have somebody else with us. Here. Here.
Well, over this past year, we did accomplish a lot of things. One was we produced, a guide how to interact with the police. This is very good.
Yeah.
Many resource guides, the calendars, yeah. This was all positive.
Oh, yeah.
What we did, bad weather resources, what we can do and everything. One thing, this coming year, we should try to get more into the actual housing issue. And that is, transitional leading up to permanent housing. This is very much needed here. It's not an easy issue to tackle. Another thing is, very disappointing is the governor, proposed to the legislature to reform the property tax situation. This is horrible here in this county. The legislature didn't act on it. It's just one continuous lead on and nothing is accomplished in that. We need somehow and these certain local departments, government agencies, they have a lot of influence in the county here, in the state government. We need to get the people organized somehow with that and exert an influence on these legislators to take action on this kind of a thing. That's what we need to organize. So this is what this is what some of the things we should look into this year.
Goals for next year.
Possibly, having presentations, meeting of the public, of the people, where they can present their ideas, influence, and then these things can be brought up to the legislators in the way. We need to push them for more positive action than they've shown.
Anyone else?
But. Well, I was just gonna say before the last time we spoke, what about you and I and our work getting, Narcan from the health department? I probably passed out about 4 cases. Good.
They're very successful, and I thank you for that. Drive back.
I just wanted to do a real quick direct response to you, Norm. The legislative session for Florida hasn't happened yet. It's gonna happen starting in January through March. And that's where they're gonna talk about, basically, there's a 60-day period every year where they talk about the bills that they're ultimately might get passed into laws or changes or whatever. And property tax reform is one of the things that's being talked about. Perhaps in January, I can talk to Gary, but that's something that have been very focused on is the property tax reform discussion, so I could give like a short presentation or something in January, just to say like what the conversation is about and what's going on with it, and if there's any potential ways that we can speak to our legislators and elected representatives about what we want to see happen.
That's awesome.
To circle back on the beginning of the meeting, the general consensus that I've been hearing from everybody around is that the permanent, that is going away, right? That's what
The biggest
they wanna
thing,
get away from, they wanna get away from that
That-
whole word concept.
that is what some folks want to do from a process standpoint, or any major changes to happen. Not only does it have to pass with 2/3 of the legislature voting in favor of it, but then it would end up on the ballot in November and would have to pass with 60% of voters as well.
So that does pass, that'll free up a lot of money too, for new programs, stuff like that, yeah,
Well, like, not to take us too far afield,
yeah.
but I'll just say like briefly, property taxes fund a lot of the housing initiatives that support programs like HLA and similar type government-run services. Both in housing and general social services. But I won't get too far into the weeds, even though I'm tempted to.
I have another
Right.
good thing I remembered is that, Gary and Silas attended the now legislative delegation hall. And Gary spoke on behalf of the Lived Experience Advisory Committee towards the delegation. That was a good positive.
Yeah. I forgot about that. We need to do more,
Yeah.
like the lockdown.
Legislative session, yeah. Funny thing is,
Hopefully with
the
a
biggest
bigger-
thing that got their attention was they said, well, I'm not gonna patronize, it, really right to business. You know, I what, 3.5 hours of speakers? Everybody looking their booths before asking for money? Yeah. Anyone else?
What do you have
What do I have?
that we've accomplished? I mean,
Well, we did a good job on that, how to interact with the police, got noticed by a lot of the police stations. All the flyers that I could get my hands on have been distributed and they've been actively being taken by the homeless. And several of the homeless site locations, you know, Trinity, up here at the First United Methodist, over at Elevated, they've been people picking up, you know.
Yeah.
It just because you interact with an officer does not mean you're automatically going to jail.
doesn't have to be negative at all.
No,
Uh,
not at
Yeah,
all.
we established.
Better make sure that you're not some wanted felon on the top 10 list. That guy's got bigger fish to fry than to mess with you. Rapes, thefts, how invasion, murders. You know,
You
they're gonna
just wanna make
look,
sure you're not a person of interest for one of those
Yeah,
things, and then
but you know, and they're like, you know, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee. Just don't be here when I get back. They're letting you go. All right, have a nice day, officer. Bye.
Take the way and go, yeah.
They're gonna reflect and react to how you are in the first place. They're not asking.
On the microphone, man. Pardon me, go ahead. Here's your man. It's all right, we're in the middle of committee, so I gotta get off the phone. All right, I tell everybody you said hi.
I would say another accomplishment, we established a charter, we got all this together, happy going, even though we lost some times along the way.
Cool, okay. Good, okay. Good.
Right? What is it suggest, are you doing?
They're both sick.
I had a suggestion for the committee for next,
I know I look forward to coming here every month.
thank you. So our pit count is coming up on January 28th, 29th, 29th, Thursday, the 29th, point in time count. And I'm wondering if members of the committee are going to be helping with that in any way, being out there. And I would think, the media will be out there in some way, shape or form. Would you be willing to be interviewed by a reporter? If you're helping on a shift at all? And so the shifts start, I do North County, and it's like, you have to be up at HEP at 5:30-ish. Or 6 or whatever it is.
I don't know, always said, no, you guys good job.
This year, full time, are they not asking for any personal information and where you're sleeping and stuff like that?
They are.
Good.
And remember, you can pass on certain questions.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if you all wanted to help conduct
I'm already
surveys.
slated, so
Are you good?
I'm on the committee, so I'm already slated.
They're like 3-hour shifts. Right? So it'd be great, but,
Where and what do you need help with?
well, you can go on the website and sign up, and then they'll assign some training. There's virtual training that you'll go through, and then you'll be dispatched. You'll be given a time and location to show up, and you'll go out with other people for a shift to survey people who are unhoused. Yep. So I think it'd be great if we could say we had, 4 members from the committee or whatever participate in the pin count.
I strongly encourage anyone to, at least a couple hours, give me a hand.
I'll do whatever, it's a package deal, that's all.
You know how people
Okay.
feel about giving out personal information or their whereabouts?
Let's speak loudly.
Sorry, yeah.
I'm saying,
Go ahead.
I'm saying,
You'll do it? Okay, great.
As a reminder, if you're gonna speak, please make sure you get a microphone, let this on the record.
Just remember that people are gonna have issue with giving out their full names and giving out the places where they sleep or hide, or, so make sure to preface the fact that it's not necessary to answer if you're not comfortable.
And they don't ask specifics about any address. It's just like, did you sleep, where did you sleep last night? Was it in a hotel? Was it, in a shelter? Was it outside? It doesn't say where outside or.
In committee, we changed several of the questions we prefer not to answer. Allow for that gray area. Some people are, they don't trust really well. They feel a little, finicky about giving out certain information like that, like they're gonna end up on the radar blip. And that's been amended. It's pretty reasonable. If you'd like a copy of the survey, I have a copy.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I'll let you read it, but it
As long as
should
when you talk to
cover that.
people, You start off by saying this is not gonna go to the police, it's not meant to track you, we're trying to get more resources, whatever you gotta say. In order to ease their mind, and then tell them, and not only that, viewing that they answer me.
My hope was asking you to volunteer was homeless talking to a homeless. Some of the social barricade safety walls come down. They feel probably more comfortable talking to a homeless person about homelessness than somebody sitting there in a suit. And that could be just my misgiving, but that's my opinion. They would feel, more at ease talking to a homeless
If we
person.
said it wouldn't affect them negatively later, they would believe us more than they would believe some
Exactly.
high school kid with a blue shirt on it.
So that's kind of why I always strongly encourage you guys, That's why I wanna give you the information that you can take with you and carry with you and hand out. Cause, you know, you are advocates, you can help spread information, knowledge is power.
Right, and the big thing was last year, nobody really wanted to respond to it, that's our job to make them comfortable enough to respond this year, so we get better
Access
numbers.
to information is very limited. It's very limited as of right now.
Yeah. Sorry to make people believe that.
I know.
Okay.
Anyone else? Alright, any more suggestions about what we could do business here as a committee? I really would like to see a little bit more, us be a little bit more productive this year, I mean. You have to look back on, you know, what did we get in this for? We got in to help the homeless community, so let's help. Yeah, even if it's just pass out information that, yeah, they could have found on their own, but for whatever reason, they don't, they still need the information. You know, they still need to know where they can find services, they still need, you know what I mean? They still need to know. And they're gonna listen to a homeless person, homeless to homeless. A lot of times before they'll listen to a social worker, somebody in the suit, and you know, nothing about my life. And that puts up a social barrier wall instantly, so now they gotta fight to drop that barrier. You know, now I was homeless a couple of years, you know. Down it comes.
Yeah.
Now I can talk to you, I'm talking to you at your level. And a lot of times you can dig deeper. Go ahead.
That's why I called you about getting that information
Mhm.
today. 'Cause
And I understood that.
Leaving without giving him something.
I understood that. That's why I dropped everything I'm doing, got the information, put it in text. There you go.
You know, in addition to the direct resources and everything, which is really super important, of course. The COC is, they decide on policies moving forward, they decide on what is going to be our priority in the whole county, right? And that ripples out to every service that's provided. And so, I think that there's, you know, feet on the ground, handing out information, and there's also the advocacy side or the informing. Whatever comes out of this committee goes to the COC board to be voted on. So start thinking about what those priorities need, you know, what are the needs, what are we doing really well, that we need to keep doing, we shouldn't forget what we do well.
Yeah.
Because if you forget what you do well and you only focus on problems, then you start just doing problem work that can't be fixed, and the good stuff goes away, right? It doesn't stay a priority anymore. So making sure that we know what is working so that we can keep that going, and then, and things that are coming up that need to be fixed, you know, that is, as a COC, that is our job. The providers, they do the providing and they're represented, the funders, they do the funding and they're represented. And we need the voice from people who are most recently living it, right, to actually push, we need that voice, we need to know, because that's the
Make what
experience that we
the
need.
policies turn into resources that all the people can actually access, that's our job, is to bridge that gap, I think. You know, the policies that COC makes.
Your job is to help the COC make policy.
Okay.
That is the other way around. You have the power to help make policy or to help influence that policy, and then that would ripple out
Yeah,
to the rest of the county.
okay.
And to piggyback off that, I would say another positive is that your committee has, you know, two co-chairs, Gary and Michael. And for every board of directors meeting, either Gary or Michael is there in person. And so many others attend virtually, CEOs and other higher ups attend virtually, and your representatives are there in person and fully participating. And I really appreciate that, you know, and Gary comes in on his electric bike and travels far, and it's a big effort to be there. The other thing is big kudos to Michael, because I don't know if you remember at the beginning of this year, we had a transition in leadership, and it was pretty awful and challenging to go through, you know, letting go a interim CEO and letting go the acting, having an interim with Sherry, and then going through all that. And there were almost weekly meetings. And it was early in the spring, I think, because I was at my parents' house Michigan, and we had a lot of Zoom meetings with that executive committee, and Michael was right there. Part of it to help make those decisions and talk through some difficult things. So you should be proud of him and his representation of you all and this committee especially. I really appreciate all that he did. Just simply to be there for quorum and to have an informed vote. So that was a good.
What time is this graduation again? 5:30?
I think it opens at 5:30 and I think the graduation is at 6:30. And he told me some of his family are gonna view it virtually. And so I thought, well, it'd be great if people are there. Okay, I don't have my glasses on, but so.
I can look it up.
I think it's 6. I'm gonna be there for sure at 6. But yeah. What day? Monday, this Monday coming up. I'll get my glasses and do it. I just.
Mary.
SB. This Monday coming up. Wouldn't it be great if we were all there to cheer for Michael? He walks across the stage. So I Googled up SBC College, so it's SBC College.
Oh, shit, that's bad. We were.
Yeah, I've got it at 6:30. It starts at 6:30.
Okay.
I'll be there about 6.
All right,
It will
everybody.
not be crowded. I mean, it's such a massive place.
Yeah.
You'll find me.
All right, I have to push things on because we're starting to get a little low on time. And need to talk about did we cover staff if we did the that? We cover that? But there's really no point in it. They've already reactivated it.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, it could be a problem. Okay. In the immediate near future, does anyone here not know what an ICS file is?
Michael here.
I see it.
ICS, yes. It's a small file that will log all the LEAC meetings for the year in your calendar on your phone. So one of these emails that you're gonna get, at the bottom of the email, it'll have a small little file, probably like 765 kilobits, right? It's very tiny. Click it, download it, let it update the event on your calendar. It will add all the meetings for the year into your phone. That way there's never a question. It'll automatically be there.
Calendar.
Yeah, it's a small file. It'll want to access your Google Calendar. Let it, put it in. You'll have the dates, every time, everything. Well, you should know should know the times by now, but it'll add everything in there. I just wanted to remind everybody that we're gonna be doing that for this next year, so that way there's clarity of what days our meetings are and such. Okay, I'm just waiting. The ladies with the HOA are extremely busy, and I get that, so as soon as I get something from them, you'll get it.
I have a word of caution on this. Caution is that if there is a meeting that has to move location because it's tax season, that's gonna happen here at the library, and we don't have a location just yet. Or if a meeting gets canceled for whatever reason, you're not gonna get an update from the file that you're getting from Gary. It needs, so HLA sends out, we send that stuff out. It is on the community calendar. There is an invitation, at least to voting members or members of people who tend to come often. It gets pushed out directly to them as well, goes to the calendar. So I mean, it's fine to do that. Just keep in mind that that is not the official calendar. And so you'll want to make sure that there's an update, that everybody gets that.
Here, I'll reword that. We need that too. As this has happened in the past, changes been made, that's why I have all your phone numbers. I will call you and let you know that, hey, we're not gonna have this meeting to do blah, squabbling. You know, you'll know about it. We've already dealt with that, so it shouldn't be a big deal. I just wanted this next year, at least start off with the base, you know. We might not be able to get the room for the meeting. There could be problems with not with the tax needed for doing taxes in this room or what have you, you know?
We don't really need a reason, we just need to know it's been canceled and
Yeah,
we'll get another date.
yeah, but basically that's it, so. We don't have to worry about it being cast in stone, we've already dealt with that before. If I ever find out a meeting's been changed, then I'll be calling you or texting you. I will make sure that you're in the loop, you know?
Just send out a general text that says meeting canceled, we'll let you know when the new one's scheduled.
Yep.
So much easier.
Anyone else? Okay. Second. If something, again, I would like to urge you, if you run across any services, showers, laundry, hot meals, and any other churches or what have you, to add to our already existing list, okay? Either bring it to committee or text it to me or even Kat, we'll add it to the list because see, that's our toolbook. That's something we put together. That's our group, something we do as a group. And that way we can keep that reference material when we need to talk to somebody, what we need to do. And I've already thought about it, so if I gave you my number, I'm already ready to get your phone call one this morning, so. Anybody else? We're running low on time, so I'm gonna have to get to it. All right, anybody got any resource sharing to do? Anything at all?
Gary, I don't have, I'm not looking at that list, but do you have the Happy Bubbles up in Clearwater on Missouri that does?
Mr. Bubbles?
Happy Bubbles, it's a Happy Bubbles, I'll send it
Yeah.
if you don't already. have
Yeah,
it.
you all sent to me. I have Shower Up.
Okay.
Who's willing to work. They're actually having a whole new trailer built and with a truck and everything. And there's we'll be able to get that to any event that we want to put together or we can set up. That's something we as a committee will have control over actually. Anything else?
What's your opinion of Wind and Word?
What's my opinion of them?
Are you still promoting Wind and Word Church and their ministry?
Well, this is definitely not on our discussion. First asking me my opinion about somebody else's organization.
Still promoting them because we're asking for resources, so are you still promoting Wind and Word Church?
Oh, I moved cautiously with that answer, especially after today's events, which for the record, I am fully aware of. So, yeah, I still promote them because they're helping the community, yes, all right? So, but it's,
Well, I wonder,
all right. Is there any reason that made it onto the agenda tonight?
I think that's enough that discussion. I just, whatever, I think we can move on to the agenda and we're running out of time.
Yeah, all right, we're running out of time, people. Oh, can't find what the last part,
The back of the first page.
yeah.
All that other stuff is old.
Yeah.
Old business.
All right, anything with public comment and good news stories? Anything, anyone?
Jennifer gave me a call and said she's happy up in the Carolinas with her mom, had a nice Thanksgiving. It is cold, it is cold right now.
She sent me a picture of the snow.
Did she?
Are they having snow?
They've had snow.
Yeah. A few days ago.
Well, you can have that part. Anything else, any community events we don't know about, might need to know about?
Yellow resource guides, we are we're like 95% done, and then it gets formatted by the printers and goes out, so.
Yeah,
We're
you're
expecting it to be, at least ready for the printers by the end of the year.
Okay.
Which is, that sounds like a long time, let's just say. So,
Oh, anything going on, like, Thanksgiving or Christmas, if you turn here?
Always speak them out.
So is there, anything going on for Christmas like there was for Thanksgiving?
Not that I'm aware of, there's going to be a food giveaway at my church around Christmas time. But I'm not aware of any particular, but a lot of churches individually are doing something.
Apparently at Thanksgiving, there were a lot of churches serving meals that we were not aware of
Yeah,
and could not provide information to others about. So if you hear of something, or if someone mentions something, if you could let us know so that we can get the word out. I had people ask me and I had people tell me, but the people that told me couldn't give me thorough information, so I was unable to pass it on. And I don't know how else to go about finding out who's doing what. You know, to let people know, especially if it's in a time frame where we just don't have time to print something out and put it. You know, but if we have the information, we can at least tell them. So I'm not sure how to conquer that.
If there are, if you hear of anything happening, like coming up in the next month, let us know and we can push it out on social media, especially that, like, kind of that. That's one.
I don't know how that shook out when everything was over, but.
Yeah, I'll just add to that, if you have like incomplete information or anything, if you can try your best to get some sort of, it's like, well, I think it's the church over on Park and something, and then just. Find a way to organize some direct outreach to say like, hey, my friend told me that you might be having a Christmas food drive or, something like that, and just directly outreach and ask those folks.
Yeah, these were hot meals that were being served that
Right,
we just
right.
completely did not know about.
Yeah, and I think someone, it's like, you can't be expected to know everything that's going on. I love the confidence, but yeah, with incomplete information, I think it'll just take a little extra legwork to. Find out as much information as you can and then like make the outreach to try and confirm and lock some things down. And maybe one of the things, sorry to circle us back, I know we're wrapping up. Maybe one of the things we can be a little more organized with next year is like outreach to local churches and congregations. Just introducing ourselves, what our committee is, and saying, and giving them contact information. Hey, if you're ever doing any sort of like outreach for the homeless, like reach out to us and let us know, and we'll make sure that people get that.
Pantries, clothing. Yeah, see, I thought we already had that going on, but
We do.
But, now. To prove your point, and here when it comes to Thanksgiving, I saw you down at Dairy Queen on Thanksgiving Day, and we got the thing. But how many people here know that the, what was it, Los Homies to Cure or whatever, at Thanksgiving Day, they were giving giant Thanksgiving plates out to people for $5. It was like the whole thing, so I think it was like.
Yeah, Dairy Queen, 60, 30th Avenue.
Yeah, it was ordered there by Publix on 40, there for
Everybody
next week.
should have gotten a text message with a picture.
Yeah,
You got one, you got one, everybody got one.
I got one, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
find it.
Wow.
You know what, maybe we could do for next, year, Gary, is, if we could do a map of the county and just put a star or something where each member of the league, committee generally is, because I think we don't have enough representation from North County, because I'm thinking if you hear about churches or other organizations that are giving out meals, there are a number in North County, and I don't, when you guys talk about things, it doesn't sound so much like you're north of Almerton Road. And,
I'm Pinellas, I don't live in Pinellas
Yeah.
CoC.
and that's okay, but I
Yeah.
think, you know, if we're gonna share resources and get full engagement, because one of the things I was at a recent meeting is that, more calls come in, I think, more calls go into safety harbors, safe harbor, from Clearwater now than St. Pete. Are you part of that discussion?
I
Heard that?
remember.
And I'm like, whoa, I know Clearwater's second with the number of chronic on the street homeless to St. Pete, but if there are more transports or calls from Clearwater, we need people from that area to be are part of the committee and, represent and share the resources that are up there.
That would be good.
That would be a goal maybe for next
And
year.
safety too, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
cause you guys think you're more mid-county?
well, we're based right here.
I know, but I mean, I don't, everybody here, you think it's generally
I
mid-county?
said, I know the road here.
Okay. Well, then we need to pull from both ends.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm north. I'm north.
The health department on Almerton Road, they consider that one mid-county.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
So
yeah, and I see,
third, fourth,
Yeah.
and there's a whole group of
I
people
see
that
it
see him and never in the gas
the
station.
closer I get to home.
And that's,
okay.
I know a lot.
Yeah.
so-
I mean, that, it would make sense.
I did live in St. Pete, and I started out in downtown St. Pete in, 2016. And there were a lot of homeless, and then I was at about, 30th Avenue for 4 years. And, they were clearing out downtown, and then they all moved into like my neighborhood and Pinellas Park. It seems like a lot of homeless people have been moved from the downtown area and, downtown, like, just further north.
Yeah, I agree with Kathleen. I think we should have representatives in different parts of
Yeah.
the county to,
Yeah,
to make sure our listings and our resources are complete,
yeah,
available to everyone.
yeah. it's-
Sorry, everyone, but we're out of time. Any further discussion, please make a note of it and we'll open that up on our next meeting. I appreciate everybody coming here and showing up and thanks for your supportive input. And as I said, next year I'd like to see us have a little bit more success than we had this year, but we do what we can, right?
Yeah, we had a great year. We had a great year, Gary. Positive note.
All right,